Hiya 3, I'm going to read chapter 4 of Oliver Moon and the Dragon Disaster. See what the dragon gets up to this time. Jake stared blankly at his friend. How, he asked doubtfully. I'll use the dragon, Oliver exclaimed. Instead of me picking up all the litter, the dragon get rid of it by breathing fire on it. How cool will that be? Red hot, Jake laughed. You'll probably get your photo in the Cacklewick Chronicle and everything. But your dragon does sound a bit, wild. Do you think you'll be able to train him in time for the parade? Oliver hesitated. Train the dragon. Somehow or other he managed to forget that small point. He twirled his wand thoughtfully. Well, he began, he'd never had to train a dragon before, but surely it couldn't be that hard. Bully Bogeywater came up just then with a mean grin on his face. Here you go, he said, emptying out his pockets in front of Oliver and Jake. A half-chewed frog bar fell out, and a mould apple core. Some green snotty tissues fluttered down, and a horrible lump of cloak fluff. Now you can practice your litter collecting. Then he laughed so loudly that yellow spit flew out of his mouth like slimy rain. Oliver wiped the spit out of his eyes, and then he folded his arms. Actually, it won't be me picking up the litter in the parade after all, he couldn't resist saying rather boastfully. My pet dragon will be getting rid of it for me. Bully looked scornful. You don't even have a pet dragon, he sneered. That's what you think, Oliver said, stepping over Bully's pile of litter. He turned and looked down pointedly at the messy pavement. So you'd better pick up that lot yourself, hadn't you? After school that day, Jake came home with Oliver to give the dragon its first lesson. Hopefully Mum and Dad had been able to teach it a few things already. Oliver said as they walked up the front path, You wait, Jake. I'll have trained it in no time. The house smelled very smoky, Oliver thought as they went through the front door, and there were several smouldering patches on the carpet in the hall and smudgy soot marks on the ceiling, so the dragon had clearly been in the house recently. But where was he now? Dotty, she's in the garden, Oliver's mum told them when they walked into the kitchen. She was trying to mend the hole in her dressing gown with woolworms which kept wriggling out of her needle. Dotty? He echoed. That's what we've called her, his mum replied. I was trying to teach her to roast some cockroaches for tea, but then she set fire to the curtains by mistake. She glanced out of the window. She also burned the hall carpet, the living room carpet, and your dad's new cloak. So I thought she was better off outside. Oliver and Jake went into the garden. Dotty was up a tangled branch tree. She was wearing one of the witch baby's knitted bonnets. Under the tree, the witch baby had set up a tea party with some of her monster dolls. Play, she was ordering the dragon, waving a teacup at him. Dotty yawned and lost her balance, falling out of the tree and setting fire to the witch baby's picnic blanket as she did so. Quickly, Oliver waved his wand to put out the flames and took a deep breath. He had to go for it. He kneeled down in front of the dragon and looked into her glowing red eyes. Hello, Dotty, he said, feeling a bit silly. I'm Oliver, okay? You're master, and I'm going to teach you a thing or two. The dragon yawned again, and a jet of flames roared out between her sharp teeth. Oliver jumped back, his eyes hurting from the smoke. Good, that's it, he said encouragingly. That's just what you have to do on the parade, when I tell you to. Not at any other time, though. So when I say, I want you to breathe fire. Okay? Dotty scratched her side with sharp claws. Oliver took that as a yes. He waved his wand to magic up some paper stars and put them in a heap in front of the dragon. There, look, stars. See them, he asked, prodding at them with his wand. Are you ready? Blast! Dotty went on scratching without even a glance at the stars. Dotty, Oliver said politely, can you stop doing that for a second? I'm trying to teach you something. Dotty suddenly sneezed all over the paper stars, coating them with thick green droplets. Right, Oliver said, good try, and let's try again. Blast! Dotty began picking at her front claws, cleaning with her long red tongue. Oliver tried not to feel too downcast. Dotty had been setting fire to things all day by the sound of it, and the one time that somebody had actually wanted her to breathe fire, she was more interested in scratching and clawing and cleaning. Typical. He looked out at Jake for encouragement, but his friend was looking doubtful. You know, Ol, it was a great idea to use the dragon in the parade, Jake said slowly, but maybe not this dragon. Oliver sighed. Do you think I should forget the whole thing, he asked. Jake nodded. Sorry, mate, he said, but Before Jake could finish his sentence, a messenger sprite suddenly materialized in the garden in a thick cloud of purple smoke. The sprite coughed and fanned away the smoke with a piece of parchment before announcing, "Message for Oliver Moon." "Moon," Oliver corrected him. "Oliver Moon." The sprite frowned at the parchment before him. "Beg your pardon," he said. "Magic writing is a mess sometimes. Message from Snivel. Heard about your dragon idea." "Dragon idea," Oliver said. "How's he found out about it?" he wondered. Then he groaned and realized what had happened. Bully must have gone straight to Snivel to tell him, hoping to get Oliver into trouble, no doubt. "Ah, yes, heard about your dragon idea. Marvellous," the sprite went on. "Everyone will love it." His message delivered, the sprite promptly vanished, leaving a curly wisp of purple smoke that the witch baby caught in her teacup and tried to drink. Oliver and Jake exchanged worried look. "No going back now," Oliver said. "If Sniffle knows about my plan, he'll have asked Mrs. McLizard, and it won't be long before everyone knows." "I can't say I've changed my mind now," he sighed, as Dotty began eating one of the witch baby's monster dolls. "That dragon has got to be trained." "Yes," Jake agreed, wincing at the witch baby's deafening squeal of rage. "But how?" Oliver turned and started backwards towards the house. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe—" Oliver stopped as he heard a sudden rustling sound and looked around hopefully. Was that the sound of flames licking through his paper stars? No, it was not. It was the sound of a small dragon curling up on a bed of paper stars and falling fast asleep.